Hello, everybody. My name is Donna Wiggins, and as promised, it is 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, and I am the president and founder of Flowers of Youth Outreach. We were formerly an LLC, but we are no longer an LLC anymore. We're just Flowers of Youth Outreach. We are a Louisiana nonprofit organization, and our vision is to assist young females ages 4 to 17 who have been sexually violated, develop a positive self-image and coping mechanisms. And we use age-appropriate activities, counseling referrals, and motivational speakers during our monthly meetings. And our mission is to provide community outreach, exploring methods to help prevent sexual violation of our young, to help them, to assist them anyway, with self-improvement of the violated, to seek counseling referrals, regaining overall positive morale, and provide access to means of suicide prevention. So we have all of that wrapped in one. So tonight we are going to talk about online sources or online resources to help families study strategies to help prevent sexual violation, to recognize some of the signs of child sexual abuse and how to prevent that. And some of the strategies that the online resource used I recognized them as traditional methods that we used to do when I was younger. Not closing the doors when the children were in the room together, thoroughly investigating who we were going to spend the night, whose home we were going to spend the night, who were the parents, what did they do for a living, do they have a criminal record, and all of that. What kind of traffic flows in and out of the home, even in our own homes. So tonight, there are several resources that the public can view to help prevent child sexual abuse. Some signs to recognize and ways, And during the pandemic now, it's become more difficult, especially for single parent homes. And that is so understandable. And we are empathetic towards all of that. And so there are several, like I said, there are several online resources. There's Darkness to Light, and that's D as in darkness, 2, the number 2, and L as in light.org, d2l.org, or just Google Darkness to Light, search Darkness to Light. And then you have the National Child Trauma Stress Network. So there are several other resources we can use. But now tonight, we're going to use Darkness to Light. We're going to use some information that I researched from the Darkness to Light website, from their website. And as I went through the website, there's a massive amount of information pertaining to all walks of life, pertaining to all situations. It was like a key unlocking a door, another key unlocking the door. So the information just went on, and there were so many external resources for the public to view to help recognize child sexual abuse and to help prevent it as well. So there were so many external resources on the website. So I urge you to go to Darkness to Light website. It is a nonprofit organization to help prevent child sexual abuse and address child sexual abuse. And then the National Child Trauma Stress Network. That's another good resource. And there's so many others. But tonight we're going to use Darkness to Light. And then on another live or another meeting, we're going to use another resource. Okay, and we will not only will we be doing a live, meetings, streaming live. We will also be back in the meeting rooms very, very, very soon. We really enjoyed that. So today is May the 20th, 2021. And when I went to the Darkness to Light website to search out some information on how to prevent child sexual abuse, I saw a method. It's called crisis planning. Now, in our homes, most of our homes, we have a plan for fire, any natural disasters. We know where to go. We know what to do. And what about protecting the child, in things like that? Child sexual abuse, that's a crisis. It happens not only to the child, but it happens to the family. It happens to the parent. It happens to the sibling. It happens to the entire family. There's a sense of loss of control, and parents, in their own right, they feel some type of way about that. So crisis planning. It is a proactive strategy to help prevent child sexual abuse. And it's a proactive method. And this content, it talked about recognizing the norm and then the new normal. And it also gave an example of daycare centers. What if the daycare center is closed and the child has to be at home, either alone, or you have to call someone to babysit, things of that nature. The parent can't miss work. It doesn't even have to be a single parent home. It could be more than one parent there. What if the parent has to work, or what if, God forbid, one of the parents or step parents is the predator, is the offender, So it talks about all of that. So there were three steps in the crisis planning to help prevent child sexual abuse. And the first step was to consider your current child sexual abuse prevention strategies. So we ask a question, do you have a child sexual abuse prevention strategy? Do you have a method, a strategy, a crisis plan to help protect your child from sexual predators inside the home? Not necessarily your home, but inside another home, at school, while they're walking to and from school, or wherever they are. This is a crisis plan for child sexual abuse prevention. Step 2 was to identify situations that will require you to rethink your strategies. Identify the new situation. Earlier, I mentioned the daycare center. When your child usually goes to a daycare center, what if the child is in the home with a predator, and the outside, the external places, is a refuge for the child? The child never wants to be at home for some odd reason. He always wants to go. He doesn't want to be there. So we have to, in this case, identify the new situation. So Darkness to Light gave an example, and that's why I want you to go on. I suggest you go to Darkness to Light because it has a what if game. And this content that I'm reading to you, it was free. It was free. They have paid programs, and they give you a certificate. They even give you a certificate for the free programs as well. Just to say, you went on, you researched the information, you watched the videos. See, they give certificates as well. So and you're allowed to go back as much as you need to. So the new situation. So anyway, they have on the website, they have a what if game, and it's used as flashcards. So, and you can also develop your own what if game pertaining to your child, So the what if game. So with the children, with the young, there's a trust issue, especially when they're used to their family and their family only. So with the child, even with their own family. You know, some children or some young, they know when to shy away from the question being asked. You know, uh, to not get that response that they know is coming, you know, because just as much as you know them, they know you as well. They know how the parent is going to respond. They almost know what the parent is going to say. So we want to approach this, you know, strategically in a calm manner. So the what if game, it uses flashcards. So on one side of the flashcard, it'll say, it'll ask like a trusting question, you know, who is your favorite actor, or what is your favorite ice cream flavor, or what superhero would you like to be? Could you imagine yourself being? What do you think about when you get up first thing in the morning? Things like that. When you wake up first thing in the morning, what is on your mind? Things like that. And then on the flip side, it'll ask a question pertaining to preventing the strategy to prevent child sexual abuse. It'll ask if you and your friends were walking in the neighborhood on the sidewalk, and a car approaches you, what do you do? Things like that. So it asks one question on one side, and then on the flip side, it asks a question trying to get into the child's head, you know, so you can develop a strategy, a crisis plan to help prevent and protect your child from sexual abuse. Your child and any other child that you know in the family, maybe, you know. So the first step was in the crisis planning to preventing sexual abuse was consider your current child's sexual abuse prevention strategies. Is there a prevention strategy in your home to help protect your child from sexual abuse? The second step in the crisis planning to prevent child sexual abuse was identify the situations that require you to rethink your strategies. Identify the new situation, school closures, daycare closures, the family member that usually babysits your child is not available, things that way. What would have been the norm is no longer the norm. There's a new situation to where you have to leave your child, you know, the old situation or the former situation to where you would, you know, your child could go off and you work or whatever you needed to do. But there's a new situation to where you could not access those means anymore. What do? You develop a crisis plan. And it doesn't have to be a set time. You can do it, you know, any time of the day, and while you're at work or at home, while you're in bed winding down, or while you're watching television. We as parents, there's this internal instinct regarding our children, and you know, there's this internal instinct, this parental instinct, this intuition, to where we can think about troubleshooting ideas to help develop a crisis plan to help prevent child sexual abuse. So that was step number two, and they gave you the example of the what if game, you know, the flashcards. One side of the flashcard, it asks the child one of those trusting questions, you know, what's your favorite flavor ice cream? What superhero would you like to be? Do you imagine yourself being? And on the flip side of the flashcard, it asks the question that were really the root question, you know. If a car approaches you and your friends, what would you do? If someone asks for directions, if someone gestures for you to come to their car, what would you do? Yeah, if someone asks you to do something that you don't feel comfortable with, what do you do? And it gets better. Step number 3, list strategies that might need to be adapted to each new situation. Change your strategy. Hi, Brenda. Change your strategy. Change your strategy. And parents are very, very smart. Parents are very, very wise. They know when something's not right with your children. We know. But some of our children are very, very good. They're very, very good at masking, and they, like I said, they don't want that response. So in step number 3, as we list the strategies that might need to be adapted to each situation, change the strategy. Change the strategy. So, darkness to light mentions. Now, these numbers they're disgusting, because it says that 90% of children are abused by someone they know and trust. More than 80% of sexual abuse occurs in isolated one-on-one situations. That should help the parents with the development of their crisis plan. It should help. Knowing that 90% of the children are abused by someone they know and trust, and more than 80% of sexual abuse occurs in an isolated one-on-one situation. So that's why I mentioned earlier, the methods that were mentioned on the website, on the Darkness to Light website. It brought me back to when I was a child. We weren't allowed to close the doors. If I was, we really didn't do sleepovers. But if we were, who were the parents? Who is this person you're talking about? What do they do for a living? Where do they live? We're dropping you off. We want to see them open the door. All of that. We want to see them open the door. All of that. So, Darkness to Light mentions 3 main principles to remember when thinking about your situation that can help minimize the opportunity of even any kind of sexual advances towards your children. So, number 1, the 3 main principles to remember that can help minimize the opportunity when thinking about your new situation. Prevent isolation. Prevent isolation. Even at the daycare center, I know they usually they're supposed to leave the doors open or cracked or something when the child is in the bathroom. If they're in there with the child, they're supposed to leave the door open. So prevent isolation. If the children are playing or in the room or whatever, or they have someone over, the door stays open. The door stays open. And that goes to anyone with my child. Anybody with your child. Prevent isolation. Number 2, keep situations interruptible. If you are out at work or wherever and the child is at home with someone, that you that are watching the child, frequent phone calls. If you can stop by the house, if you can come through, if you can come through the house, and also involve the child. So that makes the child accountable too. Involve the child in this situation. Tell the child what you expect. You and the child sit down, you and your children sit down and develop a plan. These children are so smart. A lot of these children, how we say they've been here before? These children are smart. They get on these computers, program your computers, and you're still wondering what happened. These children are smart, very, very smart from the time they start talking. Very smart children. So keep situations interruptible, and let them know I'll be checking in. I'll be calling. I'll be FaceTiming. I may even stop through. You won't know what time I'm going to stop through, but I'll be stopping through. Talk to the child. What's going on. Are they keeping to the rules? Make those rules. Develop those rules. Develop them with the child and involve the child in those rules, in that strategy. Number 3, set expectations. Expectations. Set expectations. Set expectations with the child first. Let them know, I expect you to tell me. I expect you to let me know. I expect you to, I expect you to let me know if you're uncomfortable, if someone is making you uncomfortable. And older children, and it may be it is mostly because of what happened to them. Something happened to that older child, and now they're attempting or are molesting younger children. And see, these are the things that have been kept secret. We know it's out there, and to me, it'll never become a common thing. It'll always be a disgusting thing that has been kept in the dark for decades, maybe even centuries. And our children are I don't like to use the word victim. They're surviving these things because they are. And they have to grow up as adults and deal with these without the proper counseling, without the proper counseling, without the proper strategy. They have to grow up with this. They have to live with this. So these are the things that has been kept in the dark for so long. It's time to reveal, because the Bible says what's in the dark will come to light. It'll be revealed. What's hidden shall be revealed. That's what it says. What is hidden shall be revealed. So I believe, our main mission is to head this thing off, to prevent it, to be proactive with our children, to be proactive with our future, to be proactive with our legacy, because that is what they are. And they're so precious, and they're so innocent, and things happen to these children that snatch that innocence away, and it's just so sad. It's so sad. So so the three main principles to remember when thinking about your new situation and developing a crisis planning strategy to help prevent child sexual abuse: prevent isolation with other children and adults. Make sure the daycare knows. If anyone takes my child to the bathroom, leave their door open or cracked or something. Leave it open enough. Not, leave it open. Leave it open. Number 2, keep situations interruptible. If someone is at home with your children, let them know, and let the child know as well, so they can be accountable too, as well. Keep situations interruptible. I'm calling several times a day to check on my child. I might even stop by. You won't know what time, but I might stop by. FaceTime. Put my child on the phone, please. Thank you. And number 3, set expectations. Set those expectations. So, what if the child is quarantined with their abuser during this pandemic? Some parts of the world says that the pandemic is lightening up, and then another part of the world says it's getting heavy over here. It's or it's either increasing or maintaining. We don't know what to think, but what we do know is there will be situations, there will be times where the children are isolated, or the child is isolated at home with a predator, and we don't know it. Someone that we trust. 90% of the children are abused by someone they know and trust. 90% of the children are abused by someone that you know and trust. Greater than 80% of sexual abuse occur in isolated one-on-one situations. And the child may be reluctant, they may be hesitant. They might not want to tell the parent because they know the response that's coming. They know the response that's coming from the child. And the child suffers some type of guilt. Some type of shame, some type of embarrassment. And those are the things that we'll be talking about on live as well. The parent's approach to finding out that their child has been abused, or someone made advancement toward their child. So this is why we want to be at Flowers of Youth Outreach, along with these other resources. We want to be proactive in preventing child sexual abuse. We don't want our children to be sexually abused. No one wants that. No one wants that. So developing a crisis plan, just like a crisis plan for fires, for any natural disasters, flooding, this, that, and the other, anything like that, there should be a crisis plan strategy to help prevent child sexual abuse in our homes as well. So what if the child is quarantined with their abuser? The website mentions in this case the child may feel helpless, especially if outside events used as refuge for the child has been canceled. School, camp, athletic events. The child feels safe outside of the home for a reason. So what if all of these events are canceled and the child has to be at home by themselves with the offender? What do we do then? So that is why the strategy is so important. Developing a crisis plan, developing that strategy. Excuse me. So here is if you go to the Darkness to Light website, there is a family code of conduct, and it's a guide to help develop, I don't know if you can see that, to help develop a crisis plan strategy for your, with your children to help prevent sexual abuse or any kind of sexual advances. Step 1, it says define your family values and the behaviors that can help you live into them. Determine your family boundaries and expectations for conduct. Determine your family boundaries and expectations for conduct. And it has a list of events to determine the boundaries and expectations for conduct. And that's why it's important to involve the child as well. So for example, a play date or a sleepover. Children are influenced by other children. They call it peer pressure. Within the crisis planning, the child should be there should be a conversation about standing up to their peers. I'll say it like that. They shouldn't have to feel bullied because you say one thing and then their peers say another thing. Well, tell the child it's okay for you to say, my mom said, my dad said, I cannot be in a room with a closed door with you. And if the parent of the other home says, oh, it's okay, then tell your child, okay, leave. Don't call me. Call me in situations. So uncomfortable situations. Pick up the phone and call. So it mentions play dates, hangouts, photos. Photos. That's a big one, because I had a situation with a family member, and she couldn't talk yet. So we said, smile for the camera, and she pulled down her shoulder here. She pulled down her shoulder here like that, and we responded a little erratically, but things like that. So taking photos, that's another sign. That's a good sign to look for. Because they have the thing, child pornography out there. And kudos to law enforcement, because they are cracking down on child pornography. They're cracking down on it. Everywhere I look, everywhere I turn, they're cracking down on child pornography. And hats off to law enforcement for that. Hats off. So the sleepovers, the babysitters, the internet and social media, and lessons and camps. Now the internet and social media safety. Now we mentioned that earlier. If they're at home and school is canceled and they're on the internet, here's another example of the former situation versus the new situation. Darkness to Light gave this example. I'm going to give them their credit. They mentioned the former situation, like before the pandemic, before everyone went virtual for classes, the former situation. There was a limited time on the child's internet time. There was a limited time. There was a restriction on the child's internet use. But now we're here virtually most of the time. But now we have students taking virtual classes with an unlimited time on the internet. So right after class, they can just go to the internet and do what they do in their rooms or whatever, or on their personal computers at home or whatever, they can easily. The children are smart, but they're very, very slick. Very slick. So they can slip from homework to the internet, to the dating sites, things of that nature, So that's just and I want you to go to Darkness to Light and look that up, the family code of conduct for that. So we mentioned three principles to remember when thinking about your new situation that can help minimize the opportunity of sexual advancement to your children or child sexual abuse. So, preventing isolation. Darkness to Light mention examples and so forth about preventing isolation. So, like we mentioned earlier, make a rule that doors must be open at all times. Encourage activities and behaviors that include the whole group and discourage individual activities. Consider making certain areas of the house off limits while you're away. That's a good one. Like the basements or bedrooms and any other isolated areas. If it's the evening time, handle the baths. If it's the evening time and you, I think if you have to leave for the nocturnal employees, the employees that work at night. If it's evening time, you handle the baths and get ready for bedtime in advance of the sitter arriving. This minimizes the opportunity for a sitter to be alone with your children while they may be undressed. Keep situations interruptible was the second principle to help develop a crisis plan strategy to help prevent child sexual abuse. Prevent isolation. The second step, keep situations interruptible. Make sure the sitter knows that you'll be checking in with the children. It may be a good idea to circle back by the house and drop in while you're supposed to be out if you can. You could also ask a safe neighbor or family member to drop by unannounced for you. That's a very good idea. I like that one. Confirm boundaries. We're still under the principle of keeping situations interruptible. Confirm boundaries with your children and remind them that if anyone makes them uncomfortable, they can tell you. A phone call is a quick way to check in and gauge the situation. And number 3, setting expectations. Ask the sitter to come over a few minutes early so you can speak to them and set the expectations for your home. Let the sitter know that your children know about body safety and boundaries and that you don't keep secrets from each other. Being upfront with this information can often be a deterrent to inappropriate behavior. That's like a guard dog mentality, letting them know ahead of time. Yes, we have had this conversation. I know when my children are uncomfortable, and it will be taken care of. And the second subcategory under setting expectations, the third principle, confirm the rules with your children and make sure they know the babysitter isn't allowed to break the rules either. Empower your children to call you if anything feels wrong or rules are broken. This holds both parties, the children and the sitter, accountable. Okay. All right. So, Here are just some ideas that Darkness to Light had to develop your crisis planning to help prevent child sexual abuse and to help prevent sexual advancements towards your child. Update the house rules. Update the house rules to reflect children being home more and change or create new rules that reflect this new reality. Things like which parts of the house are off limits when you're not at home, rules around closed doors so there's no uninterruptible time when multiple people are in the room together, and bathroom privacy. A second step to help develop your crisis planning strategy to help prevent child sexual abuse and sexual advances against your children. Focus on group activities. Group activities and keeping everyone together as much as possible. No isolation. No isolation. Use homeschooling as a chance to create a formal schedule that limits isolation as much as possible, and try your best to stick to it. Activities that can be fun to share include the cooking, the cleaning together, drawing and coloring, watching movies, and exercising. It creates that bond because the children, they really don't remember how much money you spend, but they remember how much time is spent. So while this may be easier during the day, remember that the fun activities like living room, camping at night can help the family together during bedtime as well. These are simple things that children remember for the rest of their lives. They don't remember how much money is spent. They remember that time. So that bonding builds that part of the trust, where if the child feels uncomfortable, and if someone tells them, if the offender tells them, keep this a secret, this between me and you, the child is like, not us, not here. We stick together here. And the third method in crisis planning to help prevent child sexual abuse: keep the lines of communication open with your children. A quick lesson in proper hand washing can turn into a chat about body safety or any topic that contributes to meaningful discussions together. They help build that sense of trust. We just said that. They help build that sense of trust, that sense of safety and reliance in your child. So, I hope that you have learned, and I hope that you have enjoyed this live streaming, this live video. This is something that we are very compassionate about at Flowers Youth Outreach. We pray and we hope that we are able to do more in the community to help prevent child sexual abuse. We want to pull the blanket off of that hidden thing, off of that dark area. We want to expose it to the light. Expose it to the light, and we want to be proactive in this matter with our young, and we want to involve the community, the public, to do so as well. So my name is Donna Wiggins. I am the president and founder of Flowers of Youth Outreach. We are a Louisiana nonprofit organization. Visit our website and look at our plight. Look at our plight. I wanted to mention something earlier. Something was brought to me. I had a conversation. And a friend of mine, she noticed that at school, this young lady, her coach played games with all the children, but she was the only one that was winning money. She was the only one, and we were like, So she had a conversation with the parent about that. It's things like that they come in real subtle, and before you know it, it takes root in our children. So visit our website to look around look at our plot. We also post our community meetings on our website because the destinations are different. That is something that the Lord put in my heart to do, to visit different parts of the community, not just one place. So to make it easily or accessible to the children and parents in our community. So our meetings are once a month, mid-morning, mid-afternoon, at different community centers, mostly at the Street Memorial Library or wherever the Lord leads us. So our website is www.foyllc0819.org. Our website again is www.foyllc0819.org. We are Flowers of Youth Outreach, a Louisiana nonprofit organization, and we thank you for listening. Please visit Darkness to Light website, www.d2l.org, and visit the National Child Trauma Stress Network as well. They have a massive amount of information and resources as well. Thank you guys for listening. God bless you and good night.